Hello students, so today's lecture is about the TCP wireless mobility. So I already discussed what is about the TCP protocol over the mobile IP, the mobile computing. So just like the same thing as we do in the traditional protocol in the wireless computing, like the TCP assumes congestion if the packet is dropped, because TCP maintains end-to-end connectivity. So whenever the packet is getting dropped, TCP assumes that the packet is getting dropped due to the congestion in the medium. But this congestion is not true, because it may be due to some transmission errors occurred in the medium, as well as some packet error due to random errors, as well as burst errors occurred in the medium. So this type of reasons can be take place in order to proceed these types of packet dropping type of phenomena in the network. So motivation for the TCP adoption is performance of an unchanged TCP degrades severely for wireless mobility environments, because as we know, our TCP is associated with the OSI model, and if we do any changes in the TCP model, then the whole architecture of the OSI model will get changed, and the network connectivity protocols and their rules and procedure will also be get changed according to their architecture changes. So therefore it is not very recommended to correct or adapt the architecture according to the requirements. So we have to just modify some structures of the equipment inside the mobile IP. So what are data structures? What are the adaptations over the wireless? There are three modification have to be do in terms of the structure modification. The first one is the fixed host. Fixed host is nothing but the server, the main server where the connectivity is provided to the subscriber. The base station is nothing but act as a router for the home agent as well as the foreign agent, and the mobile host is nothing but the mobile subscriber. Then what are the approaches? The approach of the TCP protocol is just to think over two phenomena. The first one is it has to provide a high level of abstraction to the sender, because the sender must not know about the error losses or the packet losses in the medium. It should be transparent from the sender. And the second one is, if the sender knows about the packet loss, then the packet should be rebuilt in such a way that this ambiguity can be mitigated in a very efficient manner. Just like the packet loss occur in the handoff strategies when you are traveling in the railways, then when the packet is getting lost, then it will be resent to you as well as soon as possible, such that the users cannot get disturbed and user cannot get face any type of problems due to this wireless connectivity issue or the packet loss in the medium. So what is the ideal behavior regarding this TCP protocol over the mobile computing? The TCP behavior is just as it has to scan over the medium, and whenever the packet is getting lost in the medium, it has to just assume that it is a transmission type of error, means burst error, and it has to retransmit the packet. Just it has to take retransmission of the packets, and all the packet loss due to the transmission error that the TCP assumes, the ideal TCP assumes. But in form of the communication, we have to take over the network behavior things also, like the packet may get lost due to the burst errors also, due to the random errors also, or due to some transmission link corruption also, or the routing behavior inconsistencies also. Like this type of things have to be considered by the TCP in terms of the mobile computing. So link layer mechanism. Link layer is basically related to the data link layer. So there are two mechanisms over there. The first one is channel access and the second one is error and flow control. So when we talk about the error and flow control, one protocol have to come in my mind, that is forward error correction, that is FEC. The main task of this FEC is to correct the small number of errors, like by utilizing the CRC, that is the cycle redundancy code. So whenever the packet bits get changed and the CRC is successful in order to detect it, then the sender has to resend the packet, but incurs overhead. The cycle redundancy code related to the forward error correction incurs overhead when there is no transmission error occurred in the medium. And the link level retransmission. The link level retransmission is nothing but when the cycle latency code algorithm detects the errors inside the packet and it has to resend the message. So retransmission overhead is one of the major issue over the TCP as well as the data link layer protocol. So this is a diagram over where TCP protocol will work. So the first circle will indicate it as the fixed host, that is the server, and the second one is related to the foreign agent, or you can say the base station of the foreign agent, where you find the connectivity or the range, or you can say the connection towards the base station, and this one is nothing but your means subscriber, mobile users. So this is the overall OSI architecture over implemented these three nodes. So we can say over the base station, that is called the router, you can say the foreign agent having these links, that is physical layer when the data is in the actual storage, data link layer for the flow control policies, network layer for providing the reliability and the mobile IP protocols, then the transport layer for end-to-end connectivity, and the application layer. And what is RxMT? RxMT is nothing but the retransmission timer. So this retransmission timer is invoked when the data link layer invokes the stop and wait protocol or some like sliding window protocol is incurred over there. So at that time the retransmission timer will be invoked automatically. So what are the issues over there? That how many times to retransmit at the link layer before giving up? What triggers link level transmission? How much time is required for the link layer retransmissions? And should the link layer deliver packets at they arrive or deliver them in order? So these type of issues has to be mitigated over the TCP protocol. So the solution is, the first one is split connection approach. So in the split connection approach, we have to divide our whole scenario into three parts. The first one is fixed host, base station, and the mobile host. So basically the network between the fixed host to the mobile host is the combination of two split approaches. The first split connection is called as fixed host and the base station, and the second split approach or connection, you can see, that is base station and the mobile host. So basically the split connection approach is the combination of two things. The first one is the wired connection and the second one is the wireless connection. So according to that, one protocol is implemented over the TCP, that is called the indirect TCP. It is denoted as ITCP also. So the indirect TCP, because we are moving towards the TCP protocol, so that's why the retransmission timer will be invoked here. One retransmission timer is invoked here for the forward data correction, and the another TCP protocol, another retransmission timer will be invoked over the transport layer protocol whenever the ITCP is starting to work over. So what are the advantages of the ITCP? The ITCP says that we have to do no changes over the TCP protocol for the main server, that is the fixed host, and the base station and the mobile host, that is the foreign agent and the mobile host connection can be optimized independent of the foreign fixed host and the base station. The meaning is to say that the protocols work over this connection and the protocols over work this connection has to be independent. There is no relation between the protocols work over there. Means if it is a wired connection, then it can say it has to be follow the protocols of the traditional type of things. But if it is a wireless nature, means a base station and the mobile station, then the mobile IP type of things has to be work over there, and the CSMA protocols is have to be work over there in order to detect the hidden no terminal or the exposed no terminal problem. So these two environments are different with respect to each other, and the protocols are also different, but it has to be independent, and there is no problem over there to work simultaneously. So what are the disadvantages? So as you know that the TCP protocol is maintain end-to-end semantics, but the end-to-end semantics is violated over there because we are talking about the two connections. The first one is wired and the second one is the wireless, and there is no end-to-end connectivity. Only the end-to-end connectivity is maintained by the mobile host and the foreign agent, or you can say the base station. Now the base station retains hard state. The base station retains a hard state because the buffer space has to be required over the base station, because it has to cache some packets when the packet is dropped and it has to resend, so the packet has to be captured from the buffer space and it has to resend towards the mobile host. Then base station failure can result in permanent loss of connectivity because it is the mediator one. You can see there the connectivity of the mobile host is only will be direct connection with the base station only. So sometimes when the base station is not working because it is a centralized entity over there, then the whole connection will get interrupted. And the hand of latency increases. Why the hand of latency increases? Because once this mobile host is moving towards one base station and towards the another base station, then it has to lost some packets, as well as packet dropping scenario will occur, and it has to make some registration and the care of address type of things also, and it will be get more delay. So in this scenario, you can assume, you can visualize the handoff strategy. So in the handoff strategy, you can see the mobile host is moving towards one location to another location, and the base station, there is a buffer. In the buffer currently there are 39 and 40 packets are residing, and base station currently sending 38 and 37 packet to the mobile host. So whenever the mobile host is getting the packet 37, it has to send the acknowledgement 37 towards the base station, because we are maintaining the end-to-end connectivity and the reliable communication. And when this mobile host is moving towards another location, then it has to make the registration request towards the base station. So after getting registration, the base station of the previous one has to send the packet, that is 39 and 40, that has to be occurred in the buffer space towards the mobile host, that is 39 and 40. So the another protocol is called the Snoop protocol. The Snoop protocol is basically occurred is due to some to mitigate the drawbacks of the split connection approach, that is indirect TCP, ITCP. And because the split connection approach is failed to achieve the scenario of end-to-end connections, there is no end-to-end connection between the fixed host and the mobile host, and there is a centralized entity named as a foreign agent in the between, or you can say the base station in the between. So that's why, to maintain the end-to-end semantics and to maintain the base station at the soft state instead of the hard state, the Snoop protocol was developed. So then Snoop protocol, the base station has to buffer some data packets, and the base station is allow for the link layer retransmission also, means it has to run over the CRC algorithm at the data link layer protocol. So what the data link layer protocol says, the data link protocol says that whenever a duplicate acknowledgement is received by the from the mobile host, then the base station is assumes it is a duplicate acknowledgement, and if the packet is resided in its buffer, then it has to mitigate, it has to drop this duplicate acknowledgement and it has to resend the packet towards the mobile host. Means we have to give some intelligence to the base station in the Snoop protocol, and the base station can judge that I have to drop the duplicate acknowledgement or not, and which type of packet I have to send towards the mobile host, that it has to take decision by the base station. In the previous, in the split connection approach, that is ITCP, the base station has no intelligence, just it has to resend the packet, it has to work as a mediator, or you can say as a gateway. But in the Snoop protocol, base station has some intelligence. So and this is all about the Snoop protocol. So in the Snoop protocol, because we are talking about the TCP as well as we are talking about the network also, and we are connecting to the link layer protocol also, so the retransmission timer at the link layer will be invoked, that is RxMT at the link layer, because the base station has the ability to detect the duplicate acknowledgement, means we are invoking the link layer transmission protocols, that's why. So this is a Snoop example, Snoop TCP. In the Snoop TCP example, you can say at the base station in the buffer space, there are 35, 36, 37 and 38 packets are residing. Actually the buffer space is this one, that this type of packet, that is 35, 36 and 37 and 38 are already forwarded to the mobile host, but for some duration of time, for some particular time, it has to maintain at the buffer space. So suppose at the mobile host, due to some transmission error, 37 packet is getting lost. In that case, the mobile host will has to send the acknowledgement on the 37, that is I do not receive the 37 packet, kindly send it. So now when the packet is not coming, then mobile host is again sending the 37 acknowledgement. Now when there are two duplicate acknowledgements over the 37, when the base station receives this 237 acknowledgement, that is a duplicate acknowledgement, and it has to scan that 37 in its buffer or not. So okay, the 37 in its buffer. So whenever the 37 in its buffer and it is judged, it is detected by the base station, then the base station simply discards the duplicate acknowledgement and resends this 37 towards the mobile host. So this is one of the example of the Snoop protocol. So what are the advantages? That is, we can do the local recovery, and we can adapt from the wireless losses, as well as fast retransmission is not triggered, because in the fast retransmit we have to do some mitigate, we have to do some reduction over the congestion window, like the congestion window has to be reduced by half, and we have to start the retransmit the packets again and again. And high throughput can be achieved because all of the errors has to be mitigated by the in the middle, that is by the base station. And also end-to-end semiotics is retained, because in the end-to-end semiotics both the base station and the mobile host is ensured that the packet is successfully received by the receiver. So, and what are the disadvantages? The disadvantages are the link layer at the base station needs to be TCP aware, because at the performance of the base station, we can assume the base station is invoking the link layer transmission protocols like the data link layer, but it is not about the TCP oriented type of things. So it needs to be TCP aware, and it is not useful when the TCP headers are encrypted. Means, suppose if we are using some cryptographic algorithm and this 37 packets are 41 packets are encrypted, so at that time the BS, that is base station, is only the mediator. So the mediator has no ability to decrypt the packet and to judge the content inside the things, and has to send the acknowledgement toward the mobile station. So when some security mechanism is implemented over the 37 packets or 41 packets, whatever in the network layer, then the base station will not take decision, means efficient decision will not taken care. So this is all about the Snoop protocol, indirect TCP protocol. So in the next lecture we will see some more protocols about the TCP. So this is enough for the today's lecture. So kindly, if you have any doubts, mail me. Thank you.